Good evening. It's great to be with you tonight. My name is Keith Westman. I'm the COO of Otus. We're going to talk about how Otus can be used for common formative and summative assessments. Truth be told, I'm doing this, well, as you can imagine, like you, I'm at home. So you may hear kids yelling. You may hear a dog barking. You may hear feet stomping. You may hear a knock on the door asking what I'm doing. So that's why. But it's great to be with you. And this is going to be very brief because it is Sunday night and we want you to get back to your Sunday night. I spent the majority of my professional career working in schools, classroom teacher, curriculum and technology coordinator at the district level, principal of a middle school, before I came over to the ed tech side of the house. We're going to take a look at how Otus can be used for common formative and summative assessments. Just so you know, our assessment engine includes an item bank that's aligned to Common Core standards. If you don't use Common Core standards and your state has modified standards, our item banks are also aligned to different state standards, next generation science standards, and more than that. That's a great way for teachers to easily create common assessments, or even just assessments that they're going to use with their classes, but also for you at the district or building level to do the same. We also have over 65 different types of technology enhanced items. And those are great because the engine we use is used in a lot of state assessment tools. So as students are practicing or they're taking formative assessments throughout the year, they're getting comfortable with the tools that they're going to be asked to use on those high stakes tests. And so when it comes time for that test, they don't need to figure out how to use the ruler or how to use the calculator. It all works. They kind of know how it works together. Also, Desmos is a popular graphing tool. Math teachers love it. That's integrated within Otus. Also Text Help, which is a great tool for accessibility options, and also GradeCam, which is excellent for teachers who prefer to use bubble sheets or paper assessments that are then scanned into Otus. Also, if you're not fully one-to-one, or if you you have certain parts of your district or buildings that have dead zones, but you want to do assessments, that could be a good option for you. So all that being said, let's get into it. I'm also recording this and I'll send this to you so you have it. You can share with your colleagues. All right, I'm just taking a drink of water. I have this Peloton at home and I did it. And so that always means that I need to, drink as much water as humanly possible for the rest of the day. So this is Otus. I'm going to log in using my Google account. And let me show you the different flavors of assessments that we have. There are 4. So as a district administrator or as a building administrator, if I want to create common assessments that are going to be used by grade levels, for example, I can do that. You can also have teachers create common formative assessments and share it with colleagues. But this is how, these are the types of assessments that can be created in Otus. There's 4 types. A simple assessment, which is designed to be as easy to use as Google Forms, but you're able to align those to I realized my screen was paused. You're able to align those to learning standards. Here we go. Advanced assessments are where you can use the item banks that we have and also the 65 different types of technology enhanced items. Rubric-based assessments are excellent for performance tasks, for papers, maybe if you're using Google Docs or something like that, observations, science labs, and then our bubble sheets, which are essentially paper answer sheets that are scanned into Otus. Let me show you different examples of these types of assessments after they've been created. I'll show you a simple assessment first, and so you can see what it would look like from the perspective of a student. So this is what a simple assessment would look like. Simple assessments are limited to multiple choice, short answer, and true false. So it's great for exit tickets. The use case when we built these was we're a teacher who doesn't have a lot of time, who is not a complete, totally proficient with technology, and wants to create a quick exit ticket of 5 items, align it to a learning standard, and assign it to kids. So the kids log in, they take the assessment, Otus grades it, throws it into our gradebook, and then if you have Infinite Campus or Power School, we can send points from those assessments to those gradebooks, so the teachers don't have to duplicate that entry. So that's simple assessment. Let's take a look at an example of an advanced assessment. So when you're looking at this, you may think to yourself, oh, this looks a lot like our state test. It's because your state test may be using the same engine that we use. You'll also notice that I have the option, I put the option of using text help on this specific assessment. So again, these offer all those accessibility options for students who need those or students who don't need those. It doesn't hurt. But you can see there's different types of items.
A 15-centimeter ruler.
You can see as I click on things, text help will actually read them.
Sometimes held before eating a meal.
You get the idea. Now, the cool thing about the advanced assessment, as I said, is when you're creating it, you don't have to create your own items if you don't want. So I'll go ahead and I will use one of our item banks to say, you know, you can filter by subject or language, DOK, cognitive demand, but you can also search by standard. Now, as you'll see, I have, you know, a bunch of different standards in my system, but I'll just click and I'll say, show me any second grade standards you have. And any item that is aligned to that standard will pop up, and then you can just add it to the assessment. So this is great if you don't have time to build all of the assessments. These are pre-aligned to standards. So that's the advanced assessment. Let's take a look at our rubric-based assessments. So an example of a rubric-based assessment, I'll give you an example of a teacher who had the students write a paper and are going to use a rubric to assess students. Let me look at one student here. So you'll notice that the Google Doc will sit on one side of the screen. Now this could be something that the student has uploaded. You may not want anything uploaded. You're just having the teacher with their computer watch a performance or walk around the room, watch the students complete a performance task. But you'll notice that there's going to be the descriptors, and the teacher is just completing the rubric. We also have a class view, is what we call it, where the teacher is able to just, very quickly complete the rubric for each student. Then the other neat thing you can do is you can have group grading. So you can say these 6 kids were in a group and I want to grade all of them using the same rubric. And that can be a time saver as well. And then we have our bubble sheet assessments. Our bubble sheet assessments are not very easy to show in this type of demonstration, but as you can imagine, it's literally, we have an integration with a product called GradeCam, and it just creates bubble sheets that you print out and then you share with all of your students, and then you can actually see their work after you scan the results in. So literally just like an old school Scantron. Now, what's nice about these is when they're assigned to students, you can do that again at the district level or at the building level, or even as a classroom teacher who's going to share it with colleagues. As a classroom teacher, when I see a common assessment, there'll be a lock next to it. Basically, it's an assessment that's been given to them and their students that they cannot change or modify. And the reason you want to do that is because you want to look at the data. You want to see how did all of the students in our district do on these common formative or summative assessments. And if we allow teachers to modify them, then the data can't be analyzed. So you don't have to create assessments and lock them before you share them. You can just share out an assessment and say, here's a start, and you can modify it, teacher, if you want to. Just know that you wouldn't be able to look at the data because that test is going to be different than the one that you created. So that's what the lock means. And the paper airplane just means that this was shared with you. You didn't create this assessment. This was shared with you by, in this case, the superintendent. Now, when you go to assign assessments, it's very simple. After you create them, you just click the assign button and you have the grades or the groups or the classes you want to assign it to. And then you have some options where you can have students take the assessment in a lockdown browser. You can allow them to view their grade immediately after they're done, allow them to take multiple attempts. So if you have initiatives like differentiated instruction, standards-based grading, as Caroline Tomlinson says, that formative assessment is the lifeblood of differentiation. If you're not doing true formative assessments and using that data to differentiate what you're doing tomorrow, not after the summative, then you're not doing differentiated instruction. You're just doing traditional instruction and then giving tests. So it's, does it hurt to have kids do multiple attempts or to see their grade right away? You're the ultimate judge of that. You can randomize questions. You can allow that text help feature. Once that assessment is given, though, classroom teachers are able to go in and say, well, I want to see, hey, I'm supposed to be using this data to inform my instruction. Well, now they can go in and they can look at the data behind any of the assessments that they gave. So they're able to see, how their students did. Let me look at some data from an assessment that I gave quite a while ago. And we're going to see how our students in this assessment did. So this was a bubble sheet, and I was using points, and you can see the breakdown of students and then see how they answered. If I want to do an item analysis, I can do the same thing. So this was a simple assessment. This was points, and I can do this similar item analysis. Now, the neat thing about it is I can say 14 kids chose the correct answer, 2 kids chose the incorrect answer. Who are those 2 kids? Now I can create a small group of those kids and set them aside and do something differently with them. I mentioned to you that we have a gradebook. The gradebook in Otus is really good. You can have a points-based gradebook or a standards-based gradebook. Our points-based gradebook looks like a traditional gradebook that you'd find in any student information system. Our standards-based gradebook looks a lot better than any standards-based gradebook you're going to see in a typical student information system. So this is giving the teacher the view of all of the formative assessment data from the assessments that have been given. If they want to see the 11 times that Michael has been assessed on the standard, you can click on that. It will show you all of those different points in time, how he's done on each one. And if I want to see the actual item, of course, I could click on it and I can see how he did. Students have the same view. Administrators have the same view. Families have this same view. So it's a great way to bring the culture of mastery of standards into your district. You don't have to be standards-based grading in order to connect an assessment item to a standard and have this view. Keep that in mind. So the final thing I want to share with you is like the so what as a district administrator. So what I'm going to share with you is after you give a formative, give a common assessment, whether it's formative or summative, now you can look at that data as an administrator. I took this from one of our clients who had a common summative assessment that they gave, but when they're looking at the data, they're able to see the sites where those students took the assessments are, the grade level of the kids who took that assessment, the race, ethnicity of the students, the gender. They could even see the groups that these students are in, male, female, by gender, their race, ethnicity, the list goes on. Now, what's cool about this, as you can imagine, is when you're creating at-risk lists, student watch lists, eligibility lists, this can be very powerful. So you're giving these common assessments, your teachers are looking at the data, but ultimately, and I noticed that my screen paused again. So I'm using this thing called Zoom, which is new to me for their webinar, not new to a lot of people. And it looks like I'm getting the hang of it. So let me show you what I'm looking at on my screen. So this is that view as an administrator. But the key is that you're creating the assessment, you're sharing it with your teachers and their students. The students are completing it. As a teacher, you're looking at the data right away and hopefully doing something differently tomorrow now that you have this data. And as an administrator, whether at the district or at the building level, you're able to do the same. You're able to see how your students are doing. You're not leaning on NWEA or iReady or any of these, benchmark or, district level assessment points to drive, I guess, your initiatives. That being said, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you what's cool about Otus is we're this hybrid. We're not only an assessment platform, but we're also a data platform and also a learning management system. It all goes together. So if you did want to look at how a student was doing on something like NWEA, you have access to that data without having to log into the NWEA platform. So it's all in one place for you to analyze and research so that you're not bouncing around between several different systems trying to get a lay in the land of how your students are doing. If you want to see a demonstration of Otus that's specific to your school or your district, all you need to do is go to our website, otus.com, and you'll be able to schedule a demo right from our homepage. You'll see a button that says request a demo, and then we'll be in touch. Most of the folks that will do the demo for you are longtime educators, so it's not going to be a sales pitch that you're not comfortable with. If we can help you, if Otus can help you, great, and if it can't, we go away. That being said, I'm going to share this webinar with everyone via recording. Please pass it along to your colleagues. I appreciate you being with me this Sunday night, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the night and a great week ahead. So long, everyone.